Yarko, the Fuel Rats is a player group in the game Elite Dangerous. They are real players in the game that have formed their own group, whose sole purpose is to help other players whom have run out of fuel. That is their sole purpose. They do not do combat. Hi, Shadowclaw. They do not do combat. They only do rescues. And hi, Arden. So basically what happens is if a player in the Elite Dangerous space simulation game runs out of fuel, they go to the Fuel Rats website. They put in a case for help. They get sent to our dispatch IRC channel. And dispatch gets them prepped, while any available rats will jump to that client's reported system, go through a few steps to get the rats to them, and the rats will provide them with fuel for their ship. So they can either get where they're going, or at the very least, get to somewhere where they can properly refuel. That is what the fuel rats do. They have been doing this for... God, hang on. Yes. Okay, yes. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hang on. I know exactly what you're talking about. I will... Yeah, it was called Operation Beyond the Dark Edge, I believe it was. Yeah, it was Polygon that did, no. Well, it was Polygon that did a story 8 years ago, but it was, PC Gamer that did, PC Gamer did a story about us 2 years ago. It's 16 minutes long. Do you guys want to watch it? It's basically, it's like a mini documentary, about the Fuel Rats, about what we do, and about our longest rescue in history. If you're interested in seeing about it. Okay, hang on, I'll pull it up. Yeah, I will be happy to pull it up. Okay.
I made a mistake.
You turn off the music. What's music? Okay. Yes, me and the Fuel Rats. Hey, I put 3 years of my life into the Fuel Rats, and I'm still doing it. I was doing rescues today, damn it. I'm still a Fuel Rat.
I made a mistake, and I got stuck over there.
The Milky Way is a vast place.
And I said, like, nobody's coming to get me. There is no way.
Fuel Rats are special because if you need help from them...
What do you mean the music's still going? I turned the music off. There's no music. Unless you're hearing an echo, but... I never... Yeah. Oh, by the way, Noob Van Noob? I know Noob. I haven't seen Noob in a while. Noob has not been around for a while, so I haven't seen Noob for a while, but I know
Noob.
Hang in there, big guy. We got this.
They're going to be there.
We have fuel.
Where'd the
You don't.
alpaca?
Any questions?
And that guy was... Hang on. Not that guy.
We got this.
They're going to be there.
We have fuel. You don't. Any questions?
Absolver. Absolver is one of our head honchos. He is one of the guys that's in charge. Nice guy. I don't see him around much anymore. I'm guessing he's off doing his own thing, but he's one of the head honcho guys.
The Fuel Rats, a selfless collective of elite dangerous players who set out each day to rescue pilots stranded in the darkest corners of the galaxy. If you ever find yourself too low on fuel to make it, they come to the rescue. But coordinating their rescue exploits takes real brains. Among their number are the game's finest mathematicians and engineers. They are shipfitters and mission planners, capable of surviving a journey that takes them 100 light years from the nearest chartered star. The rats will pluck you from the void.
This guy's voice is so good for this. Like, he brings such gravitas to a fun game.
Lost in space, the few rats of Elite Dangerous. You see the entire Milky Way from the cockpit of your ship, trading, mining, staging assassinations, or exploring alien planets.
Many of the stars in Elite are based on real stars. David Braben basically decided he wanted a copy of the real Milky Way in there, which is 100,000 light years across. They pushed very hard to try and make things scientific in a fun way, where possible, right?
That's a big key thing with Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous is as close to a one-to-one copy of the Milky Way galaxy that they could get with, like, the known explored stars. Granted, there are a fuck ton of stars that have not been explored. But they, like, Elite Dangerous is probably about as close to a one-to-one representation of the Milky Way galaxy as you are going to get in a video game right now. Yeah, and they have real-world stuff in it. One key thing that they've got in there, this is real world. This is real world. You know the Voyager space probe that we sent out back in the... what was it? 50s? I can't remember when we sent... Was Voyager in the 70s? I thought it was earlier than that. Yeah, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm getting my launch dates mixed up. But the Voyager 1, I think it's Voyager 1. They actually have Voyager 1 in Elite Dangerous. The game. It is actually in Elite Dangerous, and it is in its exact position in game that it is in real life. Like, literally, if you go to the Sol system, it was 1977. Okay, 1977. Boy, I was way off. So in the Sol system, which is the Earth's solar system, Voyager is currently something like, last time I looked, I want to say it was around 2 million light seconds away from Earth. I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty, I like space stuff. I don't know if I would say super into it, but I like me some good space science stuff. I'm definitely interested. So yeah, it's like in the game, it's like 2 million light seconds away from Earth in the game. That is the exact distance that Voyager actually is from Earth in real life. So it is it's the distance from it in Earth in the game is exactly the same as the distance it is from Earth in real life. Like, that's the kind of detail. And it's still moving. Like, it's constantly moving, just like it is in real life. So that's the level of detail that they put into... It's not quite out of... Well, it's not... In game anyway, Yard Dog, it is still part of the Sol. It's still in the Sol system, at least in game, from a game box perspective. Whether or not it can be considered outside of the Sol system at this point, I'm not sure if that has been said or not, because I'm not sure what the scientific community considers the quote-unquote border of our solar system. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. In the game, though, it is within the specific sandbox that is considered the Sol system. So in that respect, it is in the Sol system in the game. Now, at some point, maybe they will move it to the next neighboring system when it in real life gets that far out. They may very well do that, which will be fucking cool. So it's like, it's really cool stuff like that that is what makes Elite Dangerous so much, like, it makes it so cool. Is they put real life, real in galaxy stuff in there. They use real physics to a degree. It is obviously a space simulation game. There's technology involved that, of course, does not exist, but they use real world physics for a lot of the aspects of the game. So it's a ton of fun.
It didn't ruin the gameplay.
Run out of fuel, and you soon run out of oxygen, and help is rarely nearby. It's all too easy to find yourself floating alone in the void. That's where the fuel rats come in.
Are you worried that in space no one can hear you scream? For fuel. Are you afraid? Are you alone? Are you 40,000 light years from home? Don't panic. Call the fuel rats. We have fuel. You don't. Any questions?
And by the way, you don't need to do the QMS if you're playing Elite Dangerous. It's literally just fuelrats.com. Get you the website. That's it. And yes, we have merch. We do have merch.
Well, the fuel rats got started back in June of 2015 by Commander Solar Badger. Until the release of the fuel transfer limpets, the only option you had when you ran out of fuel was basically to blow up. You basically lose all the missions you were running, all the exploration data you collected, any cargo your ship has, that's just gone. But back then, Frontier added the fuel transfer limpet controller to the game, and that allowed you to transfer fuel from one ship to another. So the Badger realized that it would be possible to actually save people using this feature. So he started a forum thread and said, if you run out of fuel, let us know here and we'll come rescue you.
Exploration became very much a popular thing to do in Elite Dangerous. Sure, you can fly around and shoot spaceships and move cargo around, but people just love to fly off into the black and find new things. I don't think the developers at Frontier realized just how dedicated players would ultimately be. Just people went everywhere.
The fuel rats have become a feature of Elite Dangerous, designed not by the devs, but the pilots themselves. They're the galaxy's emergency services, responding to cries for help where no one else can hear. So, how do the architects of this galaxy feel about their exploits?
We first became aware of the fuel rats just after the 1.3 beta went live, I believe. In the early days of Elite, I had hopes that with the idea that we were creating this backdrop, this galaxy for people to play in, and the tools that we were giving them would spur this player-driven stories and events that they have produced. More and more communities came out, and of course the fuel rats.
Well, no, your dog. There is 100% PvP, absolutely, and it's not the PvP like you would see it like WoW or something where you actually have to challenge someone and it has to be a mutual combat, nothing like that. In Elite Dangerous, if you are in open play, meaning you're in like open with everybody else, you're not in a private server, you're not in solo, you are open with everyone else. If you see another player and you want to attack them, start shooting. It's open season. Here it's open play. You can do anything. Yeah. Now, is it the gravest sin to target a fuel rat? Let me put it this way. I'm going to say this very clearly because this is a big tenet of the fuel rats. The fuel rats do not claim to hold any special privilege when it comes to being attacked. We are players just like everyone else. So if you attack a fuel rat, fine. It's not like we are going to, amass some kind of hunt down or anything like that. We are players just like everyone else. So we do not hold ourselves to any special privilege just because we are fuel rats. Now, I will say that many commanders in Elite Dangerous have been very appreciative of our efforts because we do not do combat. That we do not do combat. That is one key thing there. You don't call us to come in and help fight for you. We don't do that. But yeah, the general consensus of the community, I am tooting my own horn. I am tooting my own horn here a bit. But don't fuck with fuel rats. If it comes out that you came after the fuel rats, people will come after you. We have been able to we have been able to achieve a kind of gratitude of the communities because we will because we do not discriminate against anybody that comes to ask us for help. It does not matter who you are. You could be an explorer, you could be a pirate, you could be a ganker, you could be the nicest person in the world or the evilest person in the world in game. We don't care. We will literally help anyone that comes and asks us for help. And I think that attitude and the efforts that we will go through to help anybody has garnered us a certain level of appreciation by the community. So I will just say I will just put it like that. We have garnered a level of appreciation by the community. To put it into context, okay, I think this is probably the best context I can give you when it comes to how the fuel rats are appreciated in game. Like how our efforts are appreciated. There were a couple people in a private server where no one could get access to them. No one could do anything about this because they were in a private server, they were solo or something like that. They went to Fuel, which is the fuel rat's home system in the bubble. It's the system of Fuel. And the fuel rats have their own NPC faction, the Fuel Rats Mischief. So a group of people went to Fuel and they basically worked like hell and got one of the other factions into power within the Fuel system. And there was a threat that the Fuel Rats Mischief faction would get booted out of Fuel. That the Fuel Rats Mischief would get booted out of Fuel. There was a risk of that. So one of our people, I forget who put this out. Somebody put out a thing on Reddit saying, commanders, we need your help. The Fuel Rats Mischief is, close to getting kicked out of Fuel. We may lose our home. We're still gonna, even if that happens, we're still gonna continue to help anybody that needs our help, but we're asking for your help in helping us keep our system. And in the course of one day, there was such a huge response that in the course of one day, the influence of the Fuel Rats Mischief went from 20%, which is where it was in the danger zone of getting booted, went from 20% to 80% influence, i.e. superpower, in the span of 6 hours. Well, because players came in and started fighting in conflict zones and beating the shit out of anybody that was not a part of the Fuel Rats Mischief faction. So it jumped from 20% influence to 80% influence in something like 6 hours. So that's the best example of the appreciation that players have for us, for our group, and for what we do. That is probably the best example I can give for that. So yeah.
That's appeared.
Within a few months, we were talking about several hundred members. I think the last count we had for active members was around 18,000. When people need rescuing, they go to a web form and they input their commander name, what system they're in, which platform they're playing on, and whether they are on emergency oxygen or not. And then we dispatch the rat out to them.
That's a crate.
We are going to go to a system called HIP 65034. So we're going to need to plug that into the galaxy.
So let's see. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like he's doing a mock-up rescue right now. I think he's got another rat that's playing the damsel in this. And Shadow, we're just kind of watching a video about the field rats.
No. And then we can plot a route there. Yeah. And we just jump to their system.
Where the alpaca is he's going to rescue. Okay. I have not seen Where the Alpaca for a while. It's been a couple years since I've seen Worthy.
Well, the way refueling works for the client, the first thing they hear is the sound of the ship into their area. Okay, there we are. So the next step is now going back into our communications menu and turning on Wingman Navlock on our clients.
Fuel scooping.
And you should also see the blue beacon marker.
Fuel scooping complete.
It's not just a matter of reaching the ship you're trying to rescue. Once you offload that fuel, you've got to make it back home yourself.
The degree of danger varies from rescue to rescue. I mean, sometimes you get people who are stuck inside the exclusion zone of the star.
Okay. I will say, he was talking about sometimes people get stuck inside the exclusion zone of a star. This is not the exclusion zone of a star he's dropping into right now. This is the jet cone of a fucking neutron star that he's dropping into, which is a very different beast. If you drop into the jet cone of a neutron star, you're dead. Because that thing is battering the crap out of your ship and damaging it like crazy. So if you drop into the jet cone of a neutron star, it is rare for someone to be able to escape out of it. It can happen, but not often, because 9 times out of 10, your modules start dying on you, and you can't get them rebooted fast enough to actually engage your jump drive, and it's just, yeah. You drop into the jet cone of a neutron star, you're pretty much dead. And I forget who asked it earlier, what happens if you quote-unquote die. Your ship explodes. You have the option to rebuy your ship. Think of it like insurance. So you can rebuy your ship and all of your modules, but you do not get any cargo you had or any like exploration data that you may have accumulated if you're exploring. You only get your ship and modules back. If you cannot afford to rebuy your ship, you get a bare bones stock Sidewinder starting ship, and you're starting all over again. So that is why the expression "never fly without rebuy" comes to mind. You should always make sure you have enough credits to rebuy your ship if it goes kaboom. No, you cannot. You can sell your exploration at a space station. That's what you do with your exploration data, is you sell it at a space station to make money. But so basically, if you're exploring and you collect data, you get to a space station and you sell your exploration data at the space station. Hendo Ace.
Which means that it's quite hot to drop into them. But the most dangerous kind of rescue is probably against neutron stars, where they're caught inside the jet cone.
Yeah, PC Gamer did not really edit that video footage very well. They should have done it in reverse. They should have had. Fuck. Hang on.
So it's quite hot to drop into them. But the most dangerous kind of rescue is probably against neutron stars, where they're caught.
Yeah, so this is what he was talking about, the exclusion zone. So there is an area around the star where if your ship hit it, you can't go any closer. And that's called an exclusion zone. And yes, it can get very hot. Then he was talking about the neutron star, but they're showing a regular star. So PC Gamer did not edit this very well. They kind of edited it in reverse. So, whoops.
Inside the jet cone. Saving people in that situation is very difficult. hopefully a few seconds later they hear the incoming fuel message. There we go, and you see the limpets going in. So that's pretty much the rescue process. Well, Commander now has fuel and should be able to continue on his journey.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, I think what most people get out of being a fuel rat is the sense of altruism, of helping people, which is something you don't really get a lot of chance to do in online games these days.
They're not playing the game.
And he's right. Abs is completely correct there. I joined the Fuel Rats because I wanted to help people. That is the exact reason why I joined the Fuel Rats. I've gotten fun and excitement out of it because some of the rescues that I've done have been pretty exciting and pretty tense and and fun. But that is why, I get such a great feeling when I go on a rescue and I'm able to help a new player. And, in addition to them being appreciative, which is always nice, it's that I can impart some knowledge to help them grow as a commander. And I always love the ones that I rescue, the ones that are really interested. You can tell because we communicate back and forth via an in-game chat. I always love when I do a rescue and the client that I'm rescuing just seems really excited by Elite Dangerous, and I'm giving them this information. They're really excited about it, and they're taking it in they're soaking it up like a sponge. And those are the really fun ones that are the ones that are really happy and excited to be playing the game, and and it's a chance for the community to grow. Those are some of my favorite rescues, absolutely. Along with the ones where it's you're literally down to the wire to save someone before the ship blows up. I've done a rescue. It was actually fairly recently, the last couple months. I literally did a rescue where my fuel limpets hit and delivered fuel right at the 0 countdown mark before the ship was going to explode. Literally, the countdown had literally showed 0, and boom, they were saved. Literally at that split second. That was incredible for me. That was absolutely incredible for me. Well, Shadow Claw, that one is a little bit of fuck physics, but the running theory is you don't have, if you completely run out of fuel, completely run out of oxygen, your power plant basically has no way to regulate itself anymore, and so it explodes. It the power plant overheats and explodes because you've run so dry you don't even have enough left to power just emergency oxygen, and so your power plant overcharges and explodes. I suppose that's what it is. What question are we talking? Can any ship rescue someone? Yes. So yes, literally any ship can be a rescue ship. In terms of what we do. Well, Shadow Claw, it's also a video game, so artistic license. Just call it artistic license. And I guess they probably didn't want to make it so graphic where you actually heard someone choking to death from lack of oxygen. It's more PC friendly, politically correct type friendly to have the ship explode versus to you hearing someone literally choking to death because of lack of oxygen. So, okay, so no baby Yeetus is actually what it is to refuel someone. Literally any ship can do this. It can be done by any ship. However, you need 2 things. You need to have a fuel limpet transfer controller optional module. That is the thing that will shoot fuel limpets of fuel to another ship. So you need the fuel transfer limpet controller, and you need a cargo rack that you have filled with limpets, which can be purchased at any station. So those 2 things are what is needed to conduct a fuel rescue. Hi, Tokari. The other consideration is when you are refueling another ship, each limpet that you send contains 1 ton of fuel. Bear in mind that when you send 1 ton of fuel to another ship, that fuel has to come from somewhere, and it's coming from your own fuel tank. So every 1 ton of fuel you send to another ship is less 1 ton in your own ship's fuel tank. So while yes, any ship can send fuel. Oh, there it goes. Thank you for the biddies, Tysel. Oh, I'm glad you were able to find me on YouTube, Tokure. I hope you enjoyed the YouTube videos, and I hope you have fun here. So yeah, that's, for small ships, like the Sidewinder or Toki. Okay, just Toki. Okay, that'll work. It's good to have a modest-sized tank. You've had to call a few rats, Stoma? Oh, really? Yeah, so, I mean, we know what we're doing then, don't we? You've seen it. You've seen it firsthand. Beta Davis, you don't need to have a big tank. You want to have a modest size. You want to have at least a modest-sized tank because the goal of the fuel rats is not to completely fill up your fuel tank. The goal is to get enough fuel into you so that A, you do not run completely dry, go on emergency oxygen, and then blow up. And B, so that you can get to the nearest space station. So you can fully, or the nearest fuel star, and fully refuel yourself. That is our goal when we go on a rescue for a client. So you don't need to have a big tank. You want to at least have a moderately sized fuel tank. So yeah. So that's how it works.
Like anyone else, it's user-generated content, and that's some of the best stories from games come from this user-generated content.
The fuel rats are special because they're so selfless. They play within the lore of the game. They're just an all-round really nice bunch of commanders that just want to get out there and help players where they can. Not only do they provide fuel for people of all experience levels, sometimes the elite also run out of fuel.
And he's right about that. We have had people come to us for help from everywhere, from brand spanking new, I've been playing the game for 2 hours, to players that have been playing the game for 7 to 10 years, and they just made an oopsie. And they made an oopsie and they need help. We've had those two extremes and everything in between. Literally anybody might call us for help, no matter how inexperienced or very experienced they are.
Most people, they react with a sense of profound gratitude when they're rescued. I guess the heartfelt gratitude is quite warming.
What's so admirable about the fuel rats is that they invented and sustained this mechanism for connecting players together in a virtual setting that's essentially endless.
When someone is in distress, we try to calm the stress. We try to figure out what is going on with the person and how can we actually heal them. Sometimes we want to just do something a little bit different that's out of our normal everyday life. And so when we play these games and we do this and it becomes a second job, it feels like you're becoming something bigger than yourself and really engaging in the world around you and feel like you matter, that you mean something.
Okay, keep your eyes on the screen. We're going to find out just exactly how far away I am from Commander Diluvian.
Elite is a game about exploration, so it's not surprising that the rats have had to say.
Yeah, so now this is going to be Operation Beyond the Dark Edge. This actually happened before I became the fuel rat. So Beyond the Dark Edge was before my time. Probably, I think, memory serves, it was 1 year before I became a fuel rat. Possibly slightly less. I can't recall exactly. This was, I think it was the biggest rescue we've ever done that took a great deal of planning. Like, the logistics behind this rescue were incredible. And they're going to talk about it.
save the asses of some very bold, earnest Shackleton types.
The pro at this moment is probably going to have to be Operation Beyond the Dark Void. That was the rescue of Commander Deluvian, who had basically traveled to the far edge of the galaxy, and then it just kept going. You have two methods of travel in Elite Dangerous. The hyperspace jump, which is basically jumping from one star system to another one. And then you have a supercruise, which is meant for traveling inside the star system. Well, what...
By the way, anybody that is considering playing Elite Dangerous or is in Elite Dangerous now and is a new player, I'm going to give you a very important piece of advice. You cannot supercruise to another system. You must hyperspace jump if you are trying to reach another system. You cannot get to another system in supercruise. It is not possible. You cannot do it. Don't try. You wouldn't believe how many people we've had to rescue because they thought, oh, the next system is only 1 or 2 light years away. I don't have enough fuel for the hyperspace jump. Correct, Doc. The hyperspace jump is a load screen. But you wouldn't believe how many people we've had that are like, oh, the next system is only 1 or 2 light years over. I don't have enough fuel for the hyperspace jump. I'll just fly there in supercruise. And they fly out, 0.21 light years before their fuel tank goes completely dry and they're on emergency oxygen. And now we have a long rescue. Now we have an 1.5-hour rescue to conduct. It's Lurker. I'm not gonna say it's being done. It is not. This is usually done by people who are very new to Elite Dangerous. And believe me, Elite Dangerous is a very complicated game. When you are brand new, there is next to no tutorial. You're basically taught how to fly, how to get into supercruise, how to hyperspace jump, how to shoot your guns, and then they say, get the fuck out, go fly. So there's like practically no tutorial involved. And it is very complicated. No. Okay, let me do this one at a time. Yard Dog, Supercruise uses less fuel because you're not traveling the same distance. Supercruise, while you are traveling at light speed, you are traveling within the system. Whereas hyperspace jumps, you are traveling by degrees of light years. So you are traveling much greater distances in an instant. So that's why hyperspace jumps use much more fuel than supercruise does. So that's your reasoning why. As far as 2 separate fuel tanks, no baby Jesus. What it is, your main tank, which is the thick bar. I'm not sure if they're gonna show again, but they will. I'll point it out. The main bar is your main fuel tank. There is a thin line above it that was kind of considered your reserve tank. And what happens is the reserve tank goes down first. It goes down much quicker than your main tank. So when the reserve tank drains, it gets refilled by your main tank and repeat. So it's not so much a jump tank and the gas tank. It's all part of the same thing. It's just on main tank and what can be considered reserve tanks. When your main fuel tank goes dry, you only have what's left in your reserve tank before you go onto emergency oxygen. Yep. You're talking about docking tie cell? Oh, they didn't have auto dock when you first bought Elite. Well, now they have auto docked and it makes life easy. I still use auto dock myself, but it's more because I'm lazy, not because I can't actually dock my ship. I just prefer to say auto dock and put the controller down, just let it dock for me, just because I'm lazy.
Deluvian did was he jumped to the farthest star he could reach in the galaxy, then he pointed away from the galaxy and kept going straight forward in supercruise. And he did so for over 30 days in a straight line. So he traveled over 140 light years away from the main star.
That's more than 823 trillion miles.
Okay, if you didn't catch that, this commander went to the furthest star system at the edge of the galaxy and then kept going for another 30 days in supercruise and flew over 100 light years in supercruise alone, just because he could. That's how far this person went. Yeah, well, Baby Demons there is now. Auto dock is a pretty standard feature these days.
But who's counting?
Commanders were trying to, of course, discover the last possible system. I, as a fresh explorer, of course, really wanted to do that, and essentially I made a mistake. I went a little bit too far, burned too much fuel, and I got stuck over there. Back then, I was so uneducated pilot, and I said, like, nobody's coming to get me. There is no way.
Yes, this took place.
Who did he owe money to back on Earth, lol?
So, to give you an idea when this was 5 years ago. This was the 23rd of February, 2019. Yeah, 2019. So February 23rd, 2019 is when this happened.
So to reach him, you can't just jump directly to where he is. You have to jump to the same star system he arrived at, point in the same direction, and fly exactly the same amount of time he did. So you're talking about a rescue that first of all involves sitting in a ship, staring at the black for over 20 days. You're talking 600 hours in Super Cruise.
Like, just put yourself in the shoes of somebody who is in the cockpit of a spaceship in a video game and flies off in the same direction for 600 hours. Like, what motivates that person, right? It's got to be just pure curiosity.
So, of course, as usually when I was doing my expedition, there was a forum thread, and somebody says, why don't you call fuel rats? And I said, like, no, they would be crazy if they come and get me.
Crazy? I'm not crazy. They put me in a room with rats, a rubber room with rats. Crazy? I'm not crazy. No.
I checked fuel rats. I went on the webpage and I said, hi, I'm stuck beyond Samatus Beacon, 141 light years. And one of the rats responded, you mean 14.1? It's like, no, 141 light years.
And when he called for rescue, people were ready to go from the first moment.
I think it was like Friday, and on Monday they calculated everything, planned. Yeah, we will do it. And that's how the operation started.
Over 3 days.
Yeah. Actually, no, I'm going to let this play out first.
And just to actually get the logistics of how we were going to get enough fuel to the commander we were rescuing and the rats that were actually going out to rescue them. Because they have to jump back.
Let's see, who is involved? Falcon! Oh, Falcon still does rescues today. I see Falcon fairly often. Yeah.
As well. So we had to set up a relay of ships that basically refueled each other. So he was basically just counting the minutes along with the rest of us until we actually reached his position.
46 minutes. Hang in there, big guy. We got this.
Just to put this in perspective, imagine you live at the tip of South Africa, and your neighbor has decided to drive all the way to Eastern Russia, halfway across the globe. And they get a flat tire. So they call you for help, and without hesitating, you jump in your car and you just start driving. That's what the fuel rats did.
He's away.
Should be arriving in system.
There he is! There he is! As he lives and breathes.
Now start scooping!
There he is!
Congratulations, we have rescued Commander Oblivion right there.
And then you hear the sound of the first limpet that is actually already shot and it's traveling towards you, and that's also very characteristic sound. There's a limpet flying my direction.
This is amazing.
Oh god.
Well, I think when we find...
Yeah. Like, the logistics behind this rescue were incredible. This is obviously the most famous rescue that we've done. However, a rescue like this probably would not happen anymore. For one very simple reason. Frontier has put in a game mechanic that no longer makes it necessary to do a rescue like this anymore. No, Doc. A fleet carrier would not have helped. You could not have sent a fleet carrier out there because he was 40 light years away from the star. You would be able to get a fleet carrier to him. No, what they've got now is Frontier has put in a game mechanic called stuck recovery in the help menu. 141, excuse me. So they've got they've got stuck recovery in the help menu, in your main menu, and what that does is no matter where you are in a star system, by choosing stuck recovery, you get yeeted from wherever you are to within 50 light seconds of the main star of the system. So if we were to encounter a situation like that now, we would just tell the client who is 140 light years away from the star to just use stuck recovery. It would yeet them back to within 50 light seconds of the star, which is literally right next to it, and job done. There would not be any need to perform rescue. So while on one hand this makes our job easier, it does remove more than a few challenges that we face that can sometimes make things fun on rescues. So it is both good and not great either. So it's like, but this is a change from like 5 years ago. The game has undergone many changes from 5 years ago.
When you did reach Deleuze, his reaction is quite jubilant. I mean, everyone was. It was a rather massive undertaking. We're talking about over a month of travel time.
To grab some words and say something, my throat is just choking. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
It was quite a lot of anticipation that got released when we finally did reach him.
That was really something very special.
I'm really thankful that there are communities like the Fuel Rats out there in Elite Dangerous. It's beyond my wildest dreams of what I could have hoped for developing the game in those early stages as to how far they...
Yeah, and Fuel Rats have actually worked pretty closely with Frontier on a few troubleshooting issues. A couple years back, there was an issue with the navlock system. So the navlock system in Elite Dangerous is one where if you engage a teammate navlock, when you form a team with 1, 2, or 3 players, you can engage a function called navlock. What that does is if a player is just stopped, they are out of super cruise and they are stopped and they're just floating in space, navlock will allow you to fly at full speed at this ship's location at their beacon, and navlock will automatically pull you out of super cruise and drop you right next to this other player. Well, after Odyssey came, it was either just after the Odyssey expansion came out, or they did an update or something. It kind of broke navlock. So if you had more than one person get into a team with someone, the first person that gets into that team, the navlock will work fine, but the second person that gets into that team, or the third person that gets in that team, the navlock doesn't work at all. And we actually, because we use navlock literally on an everyday basis, like it is literally a part of our rescue procedure, we were able, like some of our more some of our more tech rats that are responsible for a lot of the tech stuff behind the scenes was able to send game data to Frontier over the course of an extended period of time so Frontier could locate and address the problem of navlock. And they actually gave us credit when they did an update patch. They actually said in the patch notes, they said, we've been working with the Fuel Rats, or thanks to the assistance of the Fuel Rats, we were able to identify this navlock bug, and we have been able to correct it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
They've come. and how far the other communities have come along with them as well.
Well, as of right now, we are up to 119,729 rescues.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so at the time this video was made, we were at 119,729 rescues. At present, hang on. At present, we have 154,325 rescues to date since we started. This is how many rescues we have had to date. Now, we've had a few in the 2 years since this video came out. Had a couple of them. Their success rate is still, I think, not like 96%. We still have a very high success rate.
So basically our success rate, which is 96.2%, we average around 52 rescues per day.
That number's gone down.
It would grow this large in my wildest dreams. It's grown beyond all expectations. For myself, it's the community that keeps me around. I've gotten quite a few friends within the Fuel Rats that we meet on a yearly basis in real life, and people like doing good stuff.
In Elite, we have a saying, the galaxy is a harsh place, and so as commanders, we try to make each other's lives a little easier. I can think of no organization that better exemplifies that ideal than the Fuel Rats. So, for myself and the community, thank you, Fuel Rats.
24/7 emergency response support for stranded players for years now is unprecedented. So here's to you guys. Thank you, Fuel Rats.
And I know that they supply a valuable service to the Elite Dangerous community. Thank you, Fuel Rats.
Thank you, Fuel Rats, from everyone at the Burr Pit.
07, huge thanks, Fuel Rats.
Thanks, Fuel Rats. I really love what you do.
Huge thank you to the Fuel Rats.
You know, when we started out doing this, it was just a couple of guys fooling around on the internet, and we never really expected to get this kind of impact on people. Thank you so much to the community for all the support you've shown to the Fuel Rats over the years. You're really what makes it worth it for us to keep doing this. So thank you so much. I guess all we have to say is you have fuel, you don't. Any questions? No, so come on.
The Fuel Rats understand that strong communities and friendships are built by paying it forward. They don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the fame. They do it because out in the black, sometimes all we have is each other. And coming to lend a hand on someone's worst day might just come back around if next time it's your tank that goes empty and your precious oxygen ticking down to 0.
So yeah, that is the story that they did on us 2 years ago. Dova, hate to tell you, it's not coming back. Console has been put out to pasture. It's still active. You can still play it on the legacy servers, but you're not getting console support back. It's, you know, I don't know how long, I don't know how much longer it's going to be on console, but it's not getting any more support, I'm afraid.